Hey, welcome back to Advance vs. My Web Road to 1K. I'm your host, Timid Falconite, and let's just jump into it. Today we have this match, which is a Tier 3 Fog match versus user Flying Vacuum on the map Witchcraft Trials. Um, this is a high beginner level match, sort of 900-ish rating. So let's get started. So as you can see, I picked Sonja as I generally do for Tier 3 Fog. My opponent picked the Lash. So here's the map. Here's Witchcraft Trials. As you can see here, in the center here you have this very prominent, cute little mountain array where you have your infantry here so that you can see what your opponent's building, but you can only see a couple tiles at a time. So you can see normally with these infantry units you can only see into one production center at a time. But with Sonja on this mountain specifically, or on this mountain if you're playing player 1, you can see into both of your opponent's spaces. So that's a reason to pick Sonja even if you don't normally do, like I do. Generally, as you can see, this map is no longer in Global League, but generally what I like doing, there are a couple of main areas of importance in this map. First one isn't actually the comm tower. Comm towers are automatically capped, which I think is fine, but it's so far, the comm tower and I think this property and then this property here are so close to the enemy's base and so far away from where you are that you're not really going to generally be able to push into it super effectively without overextending. I would say if you're playing player 1, go for more of these 3 properties and then try to push into like these 2. And then once you have this lab capped, shift your focus to this other front over here, and then put your units on more defensive on this area. So other than the central mountain gimmick, you've got these little cities here, and you've got these pipe seams which you can blast into to put more infantry into here, or to send in battlecopters or maybe even bombers to either bring in more of your own infantry or kill your enemy's infantry. Usually you can just also fire into this area if you build an indirect, so either artillery or rockets if you really want to go crazy, which I did on this map actually. I built rockets, but you'll see how that works. These are in play if you build a transport copter, not a battle copter. And transport copters an early transport copter is pretty good, seeing how spread out the map is, and it's not like particularly dense. As you can see, it's only really 48 properties, which isn't that much considering how big it is. The other thing on this map is that you're not going to be able to front shift at all. Any units that you send to well, you can technically, but realistically, any units that you send into the left are going to stay and fight until they die in the left. Any units that you send to the right are going to stay and die until you stay and fight until the right until they die. So realistically, way you quote unquote front shift in this map is you just build more units and send them in the other direction. So this map is a lot more, I would say, drawn out, and it takes longer for your reinforcements to arrive in this map. So you have to make sure that you're planning things out. Luckily, you have a little bit of vision on the center, so you have kind of an idea of what your opponent's going to be sending at you, especially on their weak side, which is this side, their airport side. And the reason that this side is their weak side is because it's mainly because of this forest here, but also these 2 forests here. And that's because it's going to be a little bit harder it's actually going to be a lot harder for your opponent to send out units from these bases this way. Your units are going to have to go around this pipe seam, same with this one, and they're going to be either naturally funneled through here, or they're going to have to take the long way around here. Whereas on this other side, which is the stronger side, they can just go right through there, nice and easy. So for player 1, you're going to want to push. And then also, another thing to be important is that this lab, this is your strong lab, and it's a lot closer to you. So if your opponent, realistically, you're going to want to go after your opponent's weak lab first. The reason this one's a little bit weaker than this one is because this one's a little bit closer, and this one's a little bit more further out, so it's a little bit more in play. So if you're going for labs in this map, you're going to actually want to go for the weak side map. Well, for your strong side lab first, then divert to your weak side, and then start funneling units through there, pushing as hard as you can here on this side. You're also, I've seen some people try and go, you want to go try and go push units over here so that you're like cutting off your reinforcements here. You don't really want to do that, because they're going to be able to reinforce really easily here. They're going to be able to build rockets and stuff so that they can counter you easily. Don't do that. Just instead of that, just play around in these cities, this city area in the center here, so that you can more easily deal with your opponent and whatever they're sending at you. And you can tell what they're going to be sending at you through here anyways, because you got your infantry here. Keeping eyes on not only the production centers here, but also just this funnel here. And this funnel here is also super important because they'll be sending, basically there'll be any, if your opponent wants to send more extra units through here from these bases, you'll be able to tell from here. Also, you have these extra secondary airports here, and then you have the black boats observing them. So you can take out the black boat, but generally what I like to do is to just leave it alive so that your opponent knows that knows what units, knows if you build air units here, and therefore you're making them waste funds building anti-air on their strong side. I mean on their weak side. And also, I think I mentioned this a little bit, but going transport copter early here is pretty good just because of how spread out it is, and there aren't too many easily chainable cities. They're usually sort of like 2 or 3 almost turns apart for capturing chains on this map. So it's infantry on this map are super important to know where you're going to need them and when you're going to need them, I guess. So if you're, I guess we'll go into the CO choice for this map for a little bit. Sonja is obviously good because of this, but because of how big and spread out this map is, another good CO for this map is Drake. As you can see, he's won 60%, and I think he's the only one that's super above water in tier 3. Kindle's actually down at 46%. Sonja's only at 49, but that's about even. Same with Andy, about even. Lash is super low, probably because there isn't too much defensive terrain here. Now, if it were Sturm, where Sturm gets the movement through forests thing every day, maybe there's an argument for that, but with Lash, since it's only with her powers, it's not really that relevant, and there isn't enough terrain for her to take advantage of. Let's see, who else? Rachel's the other one. So 52. So around even for Rachel as well. And yeah, that's basically the gist for this map. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get into the replay. Oh yeah, Kindle. The reason I think Kindle's win rate is so low, where usually she's around 60 or 70% on a lot of tier 3 maps, is because of how spread out the cities and properties are. Kindle actually ends up, it's a lot easier to contest her because you can keep her off the cities when you need to, keep her, stay off the cities when you need to, stuff like that. So she's not actually super good on this map for once, because Kindle's kind of, honestly, I feel like Kindle's maybe a bit too strong for tier 3, but I don't know. I guess we'll go over the COs really briefly. just before I hop into the replay. Sonja gets more vision, and her counterattacks do more damage, and she has hidden health as well. And then her powers are good, her super's good. I've gone over this before, but I'm just briefly going over that again. And then Lash is better on terrain. She gets an extra comm tower per terrain star she has. So that's her main draw, is she gets extra. She's basically Jake, but with Jake if Jake were better on forests and cities as well. So she's kind of a mix of Jake and Kindle on this day, but mainly you're going to see superpowers dropped out from her, whereas Sonja can technically... Sonja has a little bit more flexibility. Her counter break's usually better, but you'll see a lot of that in this replay. So let's just go ahead and take a look at what goes on. And already you can see just the vision here. You can only see one base here for my opponent, but as you can see here, moving into this this mountain tile, I can actually see two bases, which is kind of crazy. You can see that these two bases here as well on your opponent's strong side if you go all the way here, but usually it's better to just move back and forth between these two in order to keep an eye on the airport and the bases. And you'll be able to see, if you just swap between these two, you'll be able to see whatever is made in these two production centers. And then this one too if you're playing Sonja. But you really you just need to see these two, because you're gonna have vision of this city anyways. So moving in mainly for what looks like the bases. Yeah, bases and airport first. Early, going for these cities early as well to secure it and get as much funds from it as possible early on. So that's pretty good from both of us. I think our capture games were pretty on point for this map from both of us. So I think maybe I should have gone for this city earlier to get to get out on this side a little bit faster, and because I can move infantry to capture this city from this space, but whatever. At the end of the day, small things like that aren't going to matter too much, just because of how big this map is. Although they'll add up a little bit, but it's not going to add up to more than a couple thousand funds maybe. So yeah, as you can see here, I went mech here actually really early, whereas my opponent went recon. And the reason I went mech was so that I could potentially put the mech onto the city here and then get into his pipe seam and then be able to see these bases as well. Whereas my opponent opted for the weak side recon, which is an interesting move. I don't think it's that optimal, but hey, vision is vision, and there aren't too much on your weak side here. That's another thing about your weak side, is that you aren't really going to be able to see too much. So getting a recon here is actually kind of smart on your weak side, but it's okay. I preemptively put my mech into the Chikako because mainly to save fuel, I guess, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter wherever I put it in now or later or whatever. So I'm moving like that. So that's good. Getting my infantry out here. Getting a little bit of an extra boost on that infantry as well. And I'm getting the recon on my weak side as well. So a bit of a mirroring from both of us there. Moving in pretty aggressively with his recon, which is pretty good early on. Let's see, turn 7. So moving like that with the infantry, mainly just infantry, so moving so far. Here, I definitely should have probably moved in like that and then that, so I would get more vision with my recon, because moving in like this is just gonna choke point it out, and it's not gonna be able to move super fast through there. But at the end of the day, it's not gonna matter too much. It's just gonna take me a few turns before this is actually coming into use. And I go for the tank on my strong side. Mode properly. Moving in with the transport copter like that is a bit weird. Honestly, he should have more infantry here so that he can move in with onto the transport copter next turn, so they can move into the city. So his infantry here should be further out this way. He should have sent at least one around here so he can move him in. And then if he was going to move in like that with the transport copter, he should have put it onto this, use missile silo instead so that it's not so exposed. Maybe he's thinking it'll help defend against infantry coming this way to attack, so I don't keep this cap. But he could have done the same thing with his recon. So I'm not sure why I did it again. There we go. Transport copters are a bit weird in replays, just because if you click too fast, they'll be annoying, and you'll get a bit of an error, but oh well. Let's see. Goes for a take on his strong side too, and as well as an artillery. I don't know if I like that. If I was going to build artillery here, I would definitely put it in the center. And the reason for that is it'll get around to the same spot no matter what, whichever way you want to put it, and then you'll have a bit more flexibility so that you can move it to this city next turn if you need to defend this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although it doesn't really matter too much if you build it from here. Really, you should be building it from this base so that you can defend this city. Because, as you can see, the transport copters are both in range to transport over to this little island area. So, yeah, let's see. As you can see, well, I didn't do it this turn. I'm blocking this turn, but I'll do it next turn for sure. He gets a shot off there, but it doesn't matter too much. Looks like what he's doing is going for my infantry here, but I think what I do is I just hide it for a turn. And that's fine. That's another reason why Sonja's pretty good in this map, is because it's turn 9, my turn. Because if she hides in forest like that, she can still see quite a bit. And then her infantry is uncontestable, basically. So that's what I do here. I do a couple of... I guess that's a little bit aggressive with the infantry, but I really wanted to kill her vision on this side, so took care of that. Moving in to capture this next turn, maybe. As you can see from our income, we're about tied. I think I'm ahead a little bit, actually. So my capture game's overall been a little bit better so far. And I'm about to grab this city up as well. And I'm also ahead in unit value, actually. That's interesting. Just a little bit, though, so it doesn't matter too much. As you can see, moving in with a recon like that, first to soften up the infantry for the infantry follow-up, and then moving in for the cap. That's a very basic, very good move like that. And then moving in for tank 2. I don't know if I do that. That's a little bit aggressive with the tank, because now I can see it with the recon, but it's in play so that basically I need to know. I know that I can't really stay around for recon if I want to keep it around. So that's pretty good on his part. He moves in with his infantry here, actually only able to take out one of them. So that's good for me overall, because it's Sonja, so I'm able to... So her weakened units are a bit better. especially in fog where you can hide them. You can just start them back and they can come back later. And they look like brand new units to your opponent. So I see he moves out with his artillery, so I just move back onto the mountain because more vision, right? I do a recon here to hopefully soften this up so that I can move in with the mech next turn if he leaves it around, or maybe get a shot off on the tank. Moving in with the battlecopter as well, and I'm threatening his lab up here. Honestly, this is pretty aggressive. I should have stayed around here, but the intel here shows me that basically right now all he's got in the area is infantry. So I guess that's a little bit of intel. It's pretty good, but I don't know if it's enough to sacrifice infantry. Although it is Sonja infantry on a lab, so if he wants to move in with his, if he wants to take it with his infantry, it's going to be pretty annoying for him to do so. As you can see, it takes a pretty hefty blow back. Takes out my recon, takes out my transport, finishes off my infantry. So overall, that's not too bad though. It's basically a little bit of intel plus half an infantry, basically half an infantry for one infantry. So the intel basically cost me a half an infantry. I definitely know that his artillery is in that forest, so I keep that at heart. I grabbed this city. He built an artillery here, but it's too late to come into use to frighten me off of this. So, oh, also I built one of these bad boys last turn. And the reason I did this was a couple-fold. It was to frighten this guy off of the mountains a little bit. It was to frighten this pipe seams, so that if I wanted to, I can get another infantry in here. And then the third reason is because just to defend this choke point a little bit as well. So moving in like this with all my units. This is all fine. This is all dandy. This is all perfect. Everything is going according to plan. I get a medium tank up here because at this point I see 3 tanks plus the artillery, so definitely enough invested on this side by him to move in a medium tank. Moving in on the left side here a little bit. So he's able to actually move in here. This was actually a pretty aggressive cap on my part, so I was able to get a couple of extra 1,000 funds from that city, so that's happy by me. And then this cap on this, we'll get into it. But he knocks me off of this city with his tanks and stuff. Moving in with his third tank, he's got anti-air here for some reason. I don't know why. I guess maybe to help deal with the infantry, but like, there's no real reason for him to build it here. He should have probably built it over here. Well, I don't think he even needed it. I think he should just put a tank. Tank would probably been better here, but whatever. Moving in like that, stopping him from grabbing these caps. So I'm able to hold on to this for quite a while, actually, as you will see. Moving my mech back onto the city after he got that great victory there. But he's able to take out my battlecopter like that, so. And then he join caps here, which is a bit interesting. Honestly, should have just moved the 1 health infantry off, maybe, but I don't know. I think it's okay. If he wants to keep his healthy infantry for fighting my infantry, but oh well. Takes a shot off at my black boat for some reason. I wouldn't do that, but whatever. He can do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter too much. It's just this battlecopter is going to be a little bit further away from the front line, so he's. Although there isn't too much that I'm being threatened with right now. threatening him with right now on this side, because all of my forces are in this area right now. As you can see, moving back and forth, and then I'm keeping him off of this city as much as I can, just delaying this capture as long as I can. And then I move in with a tank here on this, and I get just enough to grab my first counter break of this match. I get a lot of these in this match. It's kind of crazy, actually. I move in and show off that I have this medium tank, so he's got to move back with those guys. He wants to keep them around. Get this. It's an okay engagement here, but most importantly, it means that he doesn't really have much anti-air in this area, except for a battlecopter here, a little bit. But so I get a battlecopter of my own here. Got an anti-air moving in. All these units, I'm starting to invest a little bit more on this side, because at this point I've got someone capping this lab, and if he doesn't finish it off, if he doesn't interrupt there, all I need to do is take this lab and I win. So he's finally managed to move this artillery into range to start threatening my infantry lift. So at this point I was a little bit too slow on the draw with my rockets here, but oh well. It kicks me off of that neutral city, which I should have had, probably, but whatever. And as you can see, I still have a couple of cities that I haven't captured yet, but I'm still tied in the income battle. So as far as I can tell, it's going pretty well for me, honestly. So now it's my turn. Vision glitches aside, I'm able to do a good amount of stuff here. I leave his infantry capping there because it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter right now. And I move in with the rockets here as well, so that I can, as you can see, it's got a pretty good line of sight here. I can threaten stuff that's attacking into there. So I can chain off of this here, I can chain off of this forest a little bit as well. Moving in like that, getting the cap there, getting some good damage over here. Bam. Got the artillery in this nice little cranny over here, and this is a pretty good spot for it as well. I just got a good range here, and it's able to, and all you have to do is like have one unit there, hold the line, and you got this nice little artillery piece here that can just hold the line for basically forever, honestly, so not too bad. Moving in with infantry, finally kicks me off of there. But at this point I've grabbed his lab, so at this point I need to start moving into this area more so, pushing into here. Maybe I should try and capture a couple more cities on this side a little bit, but at this point, like, I've got to push as much as I can into this direction as fast as I can. So he's moving in to counter that a little bit, but as you can see here, honestly, why would you, no, moving with the infantry there instead. Because you get the same vision, and you're not, whatever. Moving in with the recon, which honestly you should have done first so I could see, but whatever. And I kick him off of there. I've got my infantry there as well. Finally capturing this city over here. My medium tank's having a field day over here as well. Got the artillery here. So I'm threatening this area in the center. I think I'm pushing out pretty heavily into these two cities as well, so having a good time over here. I just took this city back, but not this one, and this one it's going to take a couple turns for him to cap as well, so. As far as that goes, he pops his superpower, and then he moves in with a bunch of units actually. It's a nice shot off on my artillery, on my anti-air as well. Gets a nice shot off there, on my tank. Honestly, this is, all in all, this is a really, really good turn for him. Starts capping these two properties, and if you don't know, if you haven't tried to interrupt a cap while Lash has their superpower active, it's kind of annoying, honestly. Weakening my medium tank as well. Very, very good plays all around. But I think I'm pretty sure I saw that medium tank moving like that on the replay, so I know that's coming. So I keep calm. I take a shot there with my rockets, move in with the battlecopter, move in with the recon to interrupt there, move in with the weakened anti-air to interrupt there, because all I need to do is take off 1 bit of health on these units and I can prevent the cap until next turn, in which case I actually interrupt them. So that's how you deal with Flash, but I get Counter Break active as well, so that's going to be super good for preventing any crazy rushes this next turn to try and reinforce these captors. Not that he has much in this area anyways to do that with. I basically routed everything except for this battlecopter. And the only thing that he can really do is suicide into my battlecopter with his, because I got counter break active. So far so good on this side. Moving in with the medium tank over here as well. But as you can see, falling back a little bit on this side, trying to draw him away from his lab so that I can hold on to it as best as I can. Got 7 health infantry there. Falling back with his other units here, actually, because of the because he doesn't really have any specialized units to deal with everything here. I've neutered his anti-air basically, so he can't really deal with my battlecopter, and he doesn't have anything in range to deal with my medium tank either. I think I'm going to send a second one this way as well at some point, but we'll come to that when we come to it. This is going to be a bit of a longer episode, but oh well. It's a long replay. So, actually, basically take out his anti-air with the battlecopter there, kick him off of these properties finally. Well, not this one quite yet, but soon. Soon, TM. Move in with the transport copter here. Oh, I also interrupted that cap with the rockets here, and as you can see, it's got 2 rockets left. I've been doing a lot of good. This thing has been putting in the work for me. Honestly, I think this one. Anyways, so takes out my transport, which was kind of a bait honestly, because I got my battlecopter here to counter. But oh well, I can do whatever I want basically. He doesn't move in with the anti-air threatening, but he doesn't have enough tanks in the area to prevent me from moving in on the anti-air. Doing an attack onto my mech there, and as you can see, it did a ton of damage here, but I wasn't able to do too much back. But I'm moving with the artillery and all of this other nonsense. So next turn, kick him off of that finally. Moving with the medium tank there. I'm moving with a battlecopter like that. Moving with my battlecopter over here as well. So I'm actually taking out his artillery, basically finishing that off. Moving in with the infantry and stuff. There we go. There goes the artillery. Interrupt that as much as I can. Well, he is going to take that. So he is going to take the income lead for a little bit here. But as you can see, I still haven't taken this city yet. And it's still neutral. Kick off that infantry, hurt his sight a little bit, but basically just moving around, trying to deal with his medium tank here as best as I can. Building a second one in response to it as well, so not too bad for me. Moving in like that, a bunch of units. So. Actually, it takes a good amount of stuff this turn. Actually builds a rocket of his own. We'll see if it's as useful as mine, but basically this is weak side rockets, this is strong side rockets. So you'll see how they do in comparison. Immediately pop counter break, because why not? Do as much damage as I can here, and then move in like that. And as you can see here, I'm starting to push in with my infantry over here. Pushing in with my infantry over here a little bit as well, but I've got this transport copter here. And at the end of this turn, you'll actually see an APC come out because my rocket is running low on fuel. So not only am I getting an extra transport for my infantry, but I'll be able to resupply my rockets as well. Lash pops are prime tactics. Moved in, finished it off my medium tank here. Although her tank isn't looking too healthy herself there at this point, so actually does some more damage to my black bow. My poor black bow. Honestly, why do you have to do this? Builds a medium tank finally to counter mine. And yeah, medium tanks actually do pretty well in this area because they've got this forest to hide in, they've got these nice cities. It's nice and spread out, so you can't really wall off too well. But I get a nice shot off. Do free damage prove a super actually, which isn't bad. I'm actually able to kick him off. Prove a super, so that was a good move. That was a good set of moves on my part actually. Random tank appears for no reason. Due to replay glitches, but whatever. Next turn I'll be able to resupply with my APC as well. And I'm moving my second medium tank into position here to start stalling him out over here. And that's all I need to really do on this side is stall him out, keep him away from this lab as much as I can so that I can just push through here as well, and then try and eat up as much of his units as I can efficiently. So he's moving in there, but I'm not going to let him keep that cap going, moving in here. It's kind of out of range of my rockets for now, but that'll change. You'll see it change. So now it's my turn. 21, my turn. So not too much left for this replay. I know it's going a little bit long, but get a nice shot off on the recon here with my mech. That's my second mech, I think. No, maybe. Yeah, second mech, because this is my third transport copter. So moving in like that, on this side, moving like that, blah blah blah. I've got the medium tank in the center, keeping a nice control of this area. That's what you do with the medium tanks. You have them keep control of this area, hide in this forest, fall back, and they get a nice first strike on enemy medium tanks that try to move in. Yeah, as you can see, like that, moving in like that, so I can do that. I got the infantry boosted up here as well. So I've got a nice little infantry blob starting to show up here. If I'm him and I saw that, I would be a little bit scared by that, because it's like, well, I don't really have much in this area. I'm investing too heavily in this area, so. But he's moving in with his medium tank and his rockets here. So we'll see how effective that is. Maybe it'll be really super effective, maybe not, we'll see. So turn 22, my turn is that, kick off his tank and start tapping this property actually. So I'm actually able to start making an income game. Start spreading an income game over here. Do 3 damage to his infantry there, but it doesn't matter too much. And then I get my rockets on this forest tile. Honestly, this is a pretty good forest tile to have the rockets in. This one's also alright, but it's a little bit more exposed, I guess. Because you'll be seeing reinforcements funneling through here, so you'll almost always have units over here. But as you'll see in a second. Finish off his medium tank finally. Resupply there and shield this way, so I've got a nice little wall over here in addition to the forest hiding me. Finishes off that guy actually, who was cutting off reinforcements this way a little bit. Finishing off that guy. So as you can see, unit count wise, it's actually Lash is kind of ahead a little bit, but wait, when did I took the income advantage somewhere? Probably this property. Whatever. Moving with his transport copter there as well, so that's not too shabby on his part. But I'm able to start just pushing here very effectively. Moving in like that and doing counter break active. That wasn't just enough. I think that was. Yeah, that was just enough to push me over the edge, so. counter break active. Start capping this city as well. I think I joined there so that I can't really burn that with infantry. And then I think I move in. No, not really. I move him into the forest, so I just hide him. Yeah, that's what I do. And then I shield on this side as well, so that I'm basically guaranteeing this cap. And then also shielding this cap as much as I can. So that next turn I can probably either take it, or if he interrupts this turn, hopefully I'll be able to keep it going for the next time. So he gets a nice little push here. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't really move in. He isn't really able to move in with his rockets to follow up. And I think was he able to actually do anything with his rockets this turn? I don't think so. Oh, I think he was able to actually maybe. Yeah, I think he was able to take it a shot in the neck actually. So that was good for him. As you can see here, mainly I just have this wall of units here, and I think mainly what I'm targeting is the infantry, so that he isn't able to capture anything effectively on this side. Whereas this side, I've got stuff pretty well under control. I get a nice shot off with my rockets and my medium tank, and I try to finish off with the infantry, but it doesn't really go too well. Get a nice shot off there, though. Finish off his infantry there, and move into the forest. Looks like it's on top of him, but don't worry, he wasn't squished. Moving in like that as well with these other units, blah, 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 blah. But as you can see here, I'm actually getting a nice tide going on over here. It's just taking a while because this is a big map. It's a very sparsely populated map as well. So, but it should be over in a little bit. Moving in here, actually pushing forward with his rockets onto this forest, which honestly, his line's kind of sparse to do that. I don't know if I would do that. He's kind of pushing with, while he has basically no units to do it with. Which is interesting. An interesting decision on his part. Does Papa Super there? No, I don't want Papa Super there. That was also probably a big mistake on his part, but whatever. Moving in with the recon and recon action here. Oh no, that recon was just a sight forest, so. Moving like that with medium tank, fire, fire, fire. And I kick him off of that property like that as well. And I'm pretty sure he has it in the forest, so I don't really want to go into the city. Instead I do that, and then I'm actually able to move in. I scout with the APC here, and then I actually move with him into the tank and basically kick them all out. So if he had his super pop that turn, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to push in like that. I wouldn't have been able to do that much damage with my tank. So I've got my 4 transport copter here as well. But move in with all of these other units here. And I'm just threatening like crazy, but he's got his super active, so he wants it for the full turn. Gets a pretty good super out of it as well. Able to do a good amount of damage. It's just kind of too little too late, honestly, at this point. He's getting this recon, he's kind of sneaking this recon past my front line, but like everyone's going through this choke point anyway, so it doesn't matter. He's not actually able to see anything. I think it was a couple turns ago that I kicked his infantry off of there, so I was not able to see what I'm bringing in as well. But it's all infantry at this point because I'm setting me up for a Sonja bomber. Sonja bombers are fun if you actually get them to use them, because they aren't actually weak to anti-airs during her superpower, so they're only really vulnerable to enemy fighters if you use them correctly. But as you can see here, I actually go in for the lab cap here, and that basically secures my victory. Moving in with a couple more units this turn, but it doesn't matter too much. Moving in with a bomber. I think at the end of this turn I go ahead and just pop my super, because why not? But he's not able to do too much this turn. As you can see, he moves in with his recon a little bit. But he isn't able to do enough, really. So he actually wasn't even able to see my medium tank, which I left in range of his artillery there on accident, which is kind of a shame for him, but oh well. Because I had counter break active, he wasn't able to push at all into this tank, so there was no way that he's going to be able to break into that. I don't think. So yeah, that's that match. This was actually one of my. I really like this match, mainly because of this stupid rocket. I wouldn't go for early rocket on this map again usually, but honestly, it ended up working out pretty well on weak side like that. Ended up working out pretty well. But yeah, that's this map. It's already been 45 minutes. I'll keep the follow-up pretty brief. Next week will be this match on Misty, and maybe this match on Scavenger too if I want to keep them the same video, which I lose. So this is going to be some beginner's mistakes matches next week. This will be, I say 950-ish, so around the 1,000 mark is where it's going into the early intermediates type of ratings. So if you're looking for a bit more higher level play than you've been seeing so far, this will be it. So tune in for that next week. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense. Other than that, I'm out. See you guys next week.